Hello, and welcome to another episode of Taking Flight. My name is Heather Torres. I'm the Director of Graduate Studies here at Full Sail University. And today I am joined by two of my favorite grads. We have Ethan Curtis and Isiah Goldston. They graduated at different times from Full Sail, but they both worked for the same company called PushPlay today, and they're doing some really incredible things. Ethan Curtis is a graduate of our recording arts associate's degree and then went on for his entertainment business bachelor's degree. And then Isiah graduated from our music business bachelor's degree and then went on for his film production master's degree. And it's so great to see what they've been working on together and what they've been building together. Let's start off by allowing you two to share a little bit about yourselves. Tell us a little bit about what has brought you through your journey to where you are today. And Ethan, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So thanks for the intro. I'm a Full Sail grad, as Heather mentioned. Moved down here back in 2005 to attend. Graduated several years after that. I don't remember what year it was, but music's my background. It's always been my passion. I run and own a studio here in Orlando called Plush Studios, and that's kind of where I got my start. I use that as a platform to sort of dabble in publishing at first, and had some signs there, like epic recording artist John Kay, who's from Orlando. Hated that. It's like the accounting for the music industry, which is not my thing. So I stopped that, and then started dabbling more in music management, and the studio was a good platform to meet talent and to work with them, and that's kind of where things really kicked off for me. You know, it's a mixture of the business and the creative, which I love. And coming from a music background, my first larger management clients were actually in the digital space, on an app that at the time was called Musical.ly. And I managed a lot of the biggest talents on that app, including the biggest account, which is a girl that was known as Baby Ariel. And a lot of this digital talent wanted to get into music, so that's sort of how we came to be. So I was very heavily involved in the first few years of Musical.ly, really from the ground floor to the point where it blew up. Very heavily involved in the culture and building the community, and was really close with the founding team there back when it was ran by like 5 people in a one-room office building in Santa Monica. But when the app got acquired, and rebranded as what we now know as TikTok, I sort of stepped away from the management stuff for a while, and I started, depending on who you ask, one of the first TikTok marketing agencies. The founding members of the app and ByteDance, the company that acquired it, had done and were continuing to do a really good job at sort of aging the user base and diversifying it. When it was Musical.ly initially, it was 6 to 12-year-old boys and girls doing lip syncing videos, and they had brought older users onto the app, which meant Madison Avenue advertisers were going to start pouring ad money into it, and those advertisers were going to need people who understood that ecosystem. So I started an agency to service them. My first clients were all the major record labels and myself and a handful of other people with whom I'm close. Sort of pioneered this new industry of music marketing through short form video, through trends, through like dances or POV trends, or whatever it may be. So that was very exciting, sort of creating that market. And then my agency, which is called PushPlay, which Heather mentioned, went on to work with brands in addition to music. We helped to build some really amazing brands on the app through short form content. Brands like What Do You Meme card games, which is now one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing adult card game. Well, not just adult now; it's adult, kids, everything. Card game companies in the world. Amazing team there. A lot of those brands were willing to sort of jump in earlier on and test new things. Entrepreneurial-led organizations, and after we sort of proved our sauce with them, we went on to work with a lot of bigger brands like P&G and Walmart and stuff like that, and helped with really big splash one-off integrated media campaigns, doing everything from from like influencer activation, creative strategy, media buying, all that. And that was exciting, and we were highlighted by TikTok as best in class for that, and
Wow.
we made a case study, and yeah. But we've stayed involved in the music stuff, and you know, something that I've wanted to do since I got into space was sort of move back towards management again. You know, we were doing a good job at helping labels make money for their acts, and you know, really wanted to find an act of my own that we could sort of meld my passion and my history in music into this new short form video space. And during the pandemic, I discovered Jake, who's an incredible talent, and was sort of the perfect opportunity for that. And so now I manage an artist named Jake, and Isiah helps with that project too. And Jake is a part of another company venture that I have, which is called Plush Management. So we manage musical talent as well as songwriters and producers there as well. We also have Coyle Ray
Awesome.
on the other side.
It's amazing to see like what you guys have done in the last, you know, several years. And Ethan, we've known each other. We've been friends for many years, and he's like brought many artists that have recorded at Plush through Full Sail. And so it's been a pleasure to know you and have that connection with you over the years. Isiah, I would love for you to share a little bit about your experience, because you graduated not that long ago. You and I got to know each other through Full Sail Means Business pitch competition, and also working with some other cool things like working with Hall of Famer Phil Pallen. But the pitch competition is about to happen the week after Hall of Fame, which is coming up really soon. So I would love for you to share maybe from that journey and how it's kind of catapulted you into the arena that you're working in right now.
Yeah, so when I started Full Sail in 2016, I took music business bachelor's. While I was taking my music business bachelor's, I was working with a company called Revolt TV owned by Diddy. I was a production assistant, so I started working with a lot of major talent and kind of getting my foot in the door in the industry and seeing how things work. Um, from there, I also was a part of a college club called DECA. And DECA really kind of molded me on learning how to advertise and learning how to market and learning how to pitch, learning how to speak in big rooms, learning how to present, learning how to carry yourself, learning how to dress. A lot of the things that you kind of have to know in more of a corporate space or even like, you know, a marketing space. From there, me and my partner Dylan, we came first place in the state of Florida for advertising campaign, and then we also came top 10 internationally. We went out to LA and pitched internationally. We went up against countries like China and Canada, and we came top 10 in advertising campaign. From there, I came back to Full Sail and I took my master's degree in film production. I think it was like my second month. I I did the Full Sail Means business pitch, and I didn't think I was gonna win, but I won it, and it was like a 20K prize. We pitched in front of the owners of Amway Center and Camping World Stadium about a WWE project, which was pretty cool. Um, from there, I graduated and I was running a film festival called Orlando International Film Festival. I left that venture and I came to work at Full Sail Labs, where we taught K through 12 students media, so recording arts. We taught video production, game design, and things like that. And then Heather reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, I have this other grad that is working on some pretty cool things. I'd like to introduce you." So that's how I kind of met Ethan. It was very casual. It wasn't like a job interview or anything like that. We just kind of chopped it up and chatted about like music and the things he was working on, the things I was working on. And it was like really a, see if we worked together well, and we did. We did that for a few months, and then he called me and he's like, "Hey, I'd really like to, bring you on full time with the things that I'm working on." And, he introduced me to the push play scene, which is awesome. And then like working with Jake, which is also awesome. And, it's just really cool being able to learn under somebody like Ethan, who has as much experience as he has.
So yeah, I have to say that connecting the two of you was a huge honor of mine, just because I've been able to live vicariously through you ever since then. Seeing some of the things that you guys are working on is just so incredible. So I'm just extremely proud of you. Yeah. So this segment of Taking Flight is actually based on short form video, and I don't know that everybody understands what that is, but it's seen on all different social media channels right now. It's used especially within TikTok and is probably most well known there, but is also used on other social media platforms like Facebook. So I would love for you guys to tell me a little bit about the importance of short form video, seeing as that's like what your company focuses on within PushPlay. So, Ethan, why do you feel like it's important for artists of all kinds? You know, not just musicians, but also visual artists and all different types of creators.
Yeah, well, short. I don't have the most recent numbers, but short form video consumption. I mean, that's where people are spending their time. I mean, ever increasingly. The main platforms right now are TikTok, like you mentioned, IG Reels, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook has Reels now, which is off to a slower start, but we'll see. Obviously, it's important because the attention economy. You want to go where the people are spending their time, and that's where it is. You know, social media before, the age of short form content was very different. You know, Facebook came to be a place where you would stay in contact, with your community, friends, family, fellow students at your school, etc. And then, IG was a place where you go to like follow people you admire but probably don't know and maybe hate yourself. um, and then, Snapchat was like a communication tool. And then TikTok came and, like similar to Vine was in the day, it became about entertainment, and everyone loves to be entertained, and so it's obviously demanding a lot more of our time. So I mean, at least in our world, when it comes to music, I mean, I challenge you to find a song on Billboard Hot 100 that didn't start on TikTok, or get it's not there for that reason. When it comes to marketing, just for brands, for products in general, I mean, I think if you ask anyone, Gen Z and probably millennial, where they get most of their buy ideas, it's, probably from TikTok. TikTok made me buy it. It's a powerful tool. So I mean, to not exist there and not participate there and not understand it is to be irrelevant in my point of view.
Yeah, it's definitely a game changer for many, many musicians, and all people of all kinds. I mean, it is an entertainment platform. Ethan, you've worked with some really high-profile TikTok sensations. I mean, Baby Ariel like blew up. Now you're working with Jake. Can you tell me a little bit about why you feel they're doing something different? Like, what are they doing that's different from any other average person that's posting videos on TikTok?
I mean, it's a number of things, right? Like my friend Kudzi, who's I think his official title is head of community, head of creators at TikTok. Kudzi's from the original guard back when it was Musically. He always stresses that it's about staying genuine, right? Creating content that is genuine to you, and I think that's important. And I think Jake and Ariel both leaned into their personality, and they have personalities that are lovable, and people connect to that. They're relatable, they're accessible. But something else that they definitely do, and that's super important, is they were masters of their craft, and they are. I mean, you don't see it, but behind the scenes, like with Jake, like we're digging into data for every video we post. We're studying content in our lane that's excelling from other people and trying to dissect why it worked for them and how it could work for us. We're finding trends and content concepts that aren't in our lane and trying to figure out how we can reapply that to what we're doing. So, I mean, we're scientists and we're nerds and that's so important. There's a lot of learning to be done if you're not afraid to fail on these platforms, and that's what we do. We fail and fail and fail and learn from it until we get a win.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. It's like you try a lot, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people are so precious about their content where they put their heart and soul into something and it doesn't work and then they just get frustrated or, and then they leave it be. And what they could do is they could, in a few days, take a look at the audience retention data. Why didn't it work? Where did people stop watching?
Right.
Oh, they stopped watching here. What happened here? What caused it to become uninteresting? And if you're not so precious with it, you can learn a lot from failures rather than be discouraged. Also, if you find things that work, stick with them. Don't be afraid to do them over and over and over and over again until they don't work anymore.
I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit. I mean, you mentioned that you met Jake, during quarantine time, which is kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah.
And things have been going extremely well for Jake. I mean, he's performing all over the place, and I mean, his career is really taking off. Can you tell us about like one specific piece of content that went viral for him that was maybe like the launching pad for his professional career?
Yeah. So Jake and his brother Zach and I met over quarantine, and we were connected by a mutual friend. And they're two boys from Rhode Island who were making music and trying to find a platform to get their music out there from Rhode Island during quarantine. So we were connected because they thought TikTok would possibly be that platform correctly, and that was my space, and we chatted about strategy, and they had this idea to do to make like dope music and then pretend like it was their mom that made it. It's like a viral hook. And we were initially talking about promoting a song, but I told them that sounds like a great idea, but it sounds like more like a page building strategy. Like I don't know if that'll work for a single song, but it sounds like your angle, right, to get traction on your page. So they went back to it and started playing with that, and it was doing really well. And they had lots of like TikTok remixes that were going viral and videos that were going viral, and it was really cool. But eventually they did a video in which they mashed up some TikTok viral audios, but they also included original music from Jake, and it was the first time they had done that. And that one just went to the moon. And when it happened, we reconnected, and they're freaking out. And I think the audio on TikTok had like 1 million creates at the time, and Charlie D'Amelio had just used it like once she was getting her hair done.
Wow.
And they're like, what do we do? And I told them, I was like, well, this is a really dope 15-second clip, but can you turn it into like a full song? They're like, yeah. I was like, can you do it in 24 hours? And they're like, I think so. So I spent like the next 24 hours like hoping the song didn't suck. But they sent it to me the next day, and it was great. If you, it looks like you have the video queued up. If you wanna play it, the song's now called Upside Down, but at the time it was just, I think, called All TikTok Mashup.
Okay, cool.
Mom, you ever heard this song before?
Down south, hood baby.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how about this one?
Yep.
You already know what we're doing.
First, we're going to bring in the instrumental. Now, we're going to bring in the hood baby vocals.
Down south, hood baby. Hood baby. Hood make all the girls go.
Hood Baby Part 2, featuring yours truly. Up, down, right, down.
Now, Ayo Mama's going to make this a bop.
Down south, hood baby.
Go, stupid. Choose smart like an A+ student.
Down south, hood baby. Hood baby. Make all the girls go crazy.
Go, stupid. Choose smart like an A+ student.
I love it. That I can see why it went viral. I mean, it's fun to watch, right? It's amazing.
It was an interesting situation, right? Because the audio went viral, but not Jake so much. So we got the song out. Was able to get the sample cleared amazingly, and we put it out, and it was just had a meteoric rise, right? Like, I mean, just millions of daily streams, just like overnight. But nobody knew who Jake was. So so we figured out we know how to make audios go viral, and the next challenge we tried to figure out was like, okay, like how do we make stuff go viral that connects Jake to the song? So that was the next journey we went on after that first moment.
That is really cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I know there's been a lot of talk recently about, TikTok's been in the news a lot for, a lot of government regulation they want to place on it. They talk about shutting it down because they're worried about the involvement with other countries. And, my question for you is, what would happen for these artists that have built their entire brand on TikTok? I mean, what would that do to them? And do you think that they would survive a shutdown of TikTok? How would that affect their career?
Oh, I think some might not. But it's not just that, right? There's obviously thousands and thousands of people employed by TikTok here in the United States. And then there's the influencer economy, where there's millions of people that pay their rent through their work on TikTok, through brand deals, through song promos, etc. And then there's brands, massive brands, like I mentioned earlier, that rely on TikTok as a major marketing channel. So, and like the filler for their funnels. So, I find it hard to believe that we're going to just wake up one morning and not be able to access TikTok. And I know TikTok has some contingency plans in place. They have a project called Project Texas, which I'm sure they call it that because it sounds very American. But it also it takes place in Texas, which is where their headquarters for the advertising stuff and business is located. But they're working with Oracle, which started during when the ban talk started with Trump, as a contingency. So if say Congress says, okay, TikTok can no longer exist as an entity that is owned and managed by ByteDance, which is a Chinese company, then Oracle can step in and take over and manage the platform, and they're transferring management over to an American company. So I feel like something like that is more likely. I'm not even sure if that's going to happen. Congress loves to flex and talk big and look tough on camera. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see if something happens or not.
Yeah. Their headquarters is in Austin, right? I would know that they have
Austin. Yeah. Well, so I think the headquarters is technically in Culver City for like the stuff that we're used to seeing. Like that's where they have their new record label distributor. That's where they have, that's where they do all the influencer stuff. And, but the departments that are in Austin are more like their B2B departments.
Right.
So like ads, sales, and management, and all that stuff, which is obviously a major. I don't know their balance sheet, but I'm sure probably their biggest revenue stream. Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, I actually met with a grad when I was out there for South by Southwest, and she's working in the B2B arena. But they have hundreds of employees. I mean, it's really amazing to see how big that brand has grown. Over the years to support, you think of it as a social media platform and that it's just like people uploading content, but there's like a whole business model that surrounds it, which is pretty interesting. So my question for you, okay, and Isiah, I'm not leaving you out of the conversation. Actually, I'm going to ask you to comment on this one too now. Okay, so I have a few questions for both of you. When giving advice to clients, are there any tips that you recommend? I know you talked about things that kind of artists that stood out and being genuine, but are there any specific tips that you would have as far as developing content and interacting with fans on social media? And Isiah, do you want to comment on that first, and then we'll allow Ethan to add?
Take it away, Isiah.
Yeah. So a lot of this I've learned from Ethan, which is
I'm grading
awesome.
you on your response.
I know I'm getting graded right now.
It's tough.
But when I see, because a lot of what will happen is I'll get a project from a influencer, and then I'll talk with Ethan about it, and we'll figure out, how does this look, or how would this convey to their fans? And one of the things I'll say, the biggest feedback that we give is like, it has to look authentic. So it can't look like a promotion or anything like that. Like if they're not into it, or it just looks dry, or it's very static or something like that, it can be kind of difficult. So we would definitely get feedback on that. And then like we definitely want them to make sure it looks fun. But there's a lot of stuff that we'll get too that we kind of want them to automatically do like they've done with their other videos. So we'll convey messages like that, like, okay, we're just putting a song behind what they already are doing on their social channels. So we have that. And then like as far as marketing, I think a lot of the cases that we get where the brand already knows what they want to do, and they have a clear vision. I think from what I've seen so far, like a lot of that takes off better because they already understand their artists, they already understand the space that they're working in, they already understand their fans. So when we get projects like that, it's easier for them to take off. Whereas if there's a brand that's coming in and they're just like testing the waters, sometimes it can take a lot more time because we have to figure out what's working in that space. Or we'll see if a trend takes off, and then we'll dive into that trend a little more and figure out why is that trend taking off. Should we add more capital into that trend? So I think like being prepared for a campaign or marketing definitely helps.
Awesome.
And so you asked recommendations for clients. Are you talking more like artist clients or people who are creating content on platform?
It could be either or.
Either or? Okay,
yeah,
so-
either or.
Yeah. I mean, Isiah kind of spoke to the agency stuff where we definitely, I think you covered that well. So I'll talk more about like talent or content creators. The biggest piece of advice, that was the question, right?
Yep.
Advice, yeah.
Yeah.
So the biggest piece of advice I can give is to be on app and see what's working and try it for yourself. I mean, the content game is the wild, wild west right now. There's no reason why you can't take someone else's idea, repurpose it, and use it for yourself. That's what everyone's doing. That's what trend culture is. I'm probably ruining this quote, but I think Picasso says something along the lines of good artists borrowed, great artists stolen. Like every great artist in the world got ideas from the artists around them and turned them into their own. So I would say get on there. If you're making music, see what other music creators who are successful are doing on the app and copy it and try it and see if you can replicate it. And then if you can replicate it, see if you can evolve it, and just keep doing that. And remember, like any performance, your stage is where you perform, but it's also where you rehearse, so don't be afraid, again, like I said earlier, to try things and then retry them and then retry them until you crack the code. But I mean, and that's it. Like, there's a million ideas at your fingertips, and your job is to figure out how to execute them, re-execute them yourself. And once you do that, and this is how anyone learns and becomes great. Like, we start with imitation, right? We imitate, we emulate, and we pull from things that we love or things that work, and then eventually we get good enough at it that we start to be able to create. So that's my suggestion. Mimic until you're a master.
I love it. We actually have another video to show that kind of is a really great example of just that. So I'll go ahead and cue to our production team to go ahead and share it.
Good example. I wouldn't know this, but...
Dude's got a bottle of piss.
That's not what that is.
That's a bottle of piss. It's right in his hand that he's got on the lid. If the top even slips, it could drip down his wrist. I mean, who does this kid think he is? Look at the bubbles. Look at the color. Homie's dehydrated. Get him some water. Prove that it's juice. Drink it. We want to see. We think it's pee. We don't believe ya. We think it's from your urethra.
It's hilarious. Oh.
Do you want to know how that came to be? Is that?
Yeah, I want to know how that came to be, and I also want to know what's actually in the bottle.
I actually can't tell you that last part. Yeah, so no, this is a great example, and I wouldn't have thought to I wanted to show this, but I wouldn't have thought to show it in this context, and it's a great point. So, we didn't invent the open verse challenge at all. And everyone was doing it, and we were like, okay, people are into this, but we can't just do like another open verse challenge. Like, it's not going to go viral. And that's where a lot of marketers and a lot of labels and the marketing teams don't get it. They're like, well, open verse, do an open verse. Works for her. Yeah, like it worked for her because of the moment, and there was a certain spark and amalgamy of all these things in the universe that made it work at that moment. But like open verse in itself is not just viral. Like there has to be a reason. I think it was Sadie who did it, who had first like super viral open verse with the wooden spoon, and the song was, she was super cute, these big puppy dog eyes, and the song was beautiful, and it was just like this special like sensitive moment, and it just evoked the right emotions, and it went viral. And so we were like, okay, well, that's already been done. Like we got to find, if we're gonna do an open verse, like how are we gonna make ours go viral? And everyone was using the wooden spoons, and then I actually don't remember whose idea it was. It wasn't mine. It was Jake or Zach's, one of them. But the idea was like, well, let's do like a bottle of pee. Like everyone's gonna jump in the comments and be like, what is he saying into? What is in the bottle? And yeah, so we tried that. We used the pee bottle as the mic, and it went bananas. As you can see, people rapping about it. But it also, one trigger for post performance is activity in the comment section. So obviously the comment section lit up with that. So yeah, so it worked, and we ended up using it like 2 or 3 times. I think once we did it with like a bottle of blood, which is a little. It's a little much, but yeah. So I mean, it worked for a while, and there are people who sort of jumped on that train and try it, and I think it worked for them as well too.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's a great example, and it's funny. I mean, I laughed the first time I saw it. It's so funny. Isiah, my next question is for you. What tips do you have for videographers who are creating content with like key performance indicators in mind? Like they want to see something go viral. Like what types of tips do you have from a video standpoint?
Well, I can't ever guarantee that you're gonna go viral or not. That's up to the algorithm gods. But I think what you can do is separate your video from other videos, and a couple ways to stand out are, one, I think you can have quality lighting. I think it's a night and day difference between a video that's very well lit compared to a dark video where you can't really see what's going on. I think quality sound. I think those two in itself can like step your game up, because it'll be more engaging. Your video will stand out from anybody it'll seem more professional rather than amateur, and I think that would give you some more views and some more engagement. I think one of the most important details is to have a good story and a good hook. I think what Ethan was talking about with the pee bottle was an example of a good hook. It hooked people in by questioning what is in the bottle. It caused so much engagement. So when people are talking, they're sharing it. They're like, "What's in this bottle?" It causes discussion. And then the song is playing in the background, which is a very big part of like it just makes the whole idea of that video very engaging, right? So that's what you want to do. And one of the things working with Jake and working with Ethan, they think about this stuff prior to when they're planning their videos. They're like, what can we do to cause discussion, to cause engagement? And then they read the analytics of that as well. So if you're planning these ideas, you definitely want to look at your audience retention and see, like, is this engaging my audience at the time that I want to engage them? And you want to engage them fast. So you want to put that hook out there right away. Like the pee bottle is right in your face from the beginning of the video, right? So you kind of want to catch them quick because it's short form content, and it's like 2 seconds before somebody can scroll to the next video if they don't feel like you're being that engaging off the rip, right? So I think quality lighting, quality sound, a good story, and a good hook. And then the last one, which I know you're going to queue up another video, is be creative. Do something that's not being done or that can, add effects to your video. I think this next video has effects in it, but like add effects, do something creative, be different. And I think that would like spark maybe a trend. I think the arrow trend was one of the coolest trends I've seen. And I think you're about to play that now.
Yeah, so earlier I was talking about how, with Upside Down, we had the audio went viral, right? There were all sorts of, there was the head, the up, down, right? And then there was like this filter that went viral, and then there was a dance to the audio, and all these trends, right, that made the song huge, but not Jake. So the song used in the content we're about to show was Jake's like next like major record, and it was called "This Is What Falling in Love Feels Like." And this is where we first sort of like cracked the code of like, okay, making a song go viral, but featuring Jake in the content, right? Because if Jake's not in the stuff that goes viral, then no one associates him with the song. So we had a video that's like when the hook, which Isiah was talking about, in this case it was the text hook, was when a SoundCloud rapper shows up to the studio and sounds nothing like you would expect. And so we drew like all these like fake face tattoos on Jake's face, and like he shows up to the studio, and which is an idea that we initially got from an artist named Swaco. You know, shout out to Swaco. And tons of people riffed off of that and gave tons of people's careers. So shout out to Swaco. But he shows up and he's like a SoundCloud rapper, and he gets on the mic. He's like, I have an idea for a song, and you expect him to rap. And then like it starts, and you hear like the sound of a violin, and it cuts to him, and he's got like this violin that he's playing. It's like a SoundCloud rapper playing a violin, and there's like no strings on the bow. So then people are in the comments like, that violin doesn't really have strings. He's not really playing, and and then he starts singing, and so it goes crazy viral because it had that hook. You wanted to see what the SoundCloud rapper sounded like, and then we had other iterations of that, and then the song had a good moment. It did really well, and then it started to sort of drift off. And then a number of months later, I had an idea for a trend, which we're about to cue up the video for, which was the bow and arrow trend, where you basically fake like you're shooting a bow and arrow towards the sunset, and then whoever's filming taps the horizon, and it refocuses the camera on the sunset, and it brings all the colors out. So it's like your arrow hit the sunset and made it turn colorful. And this went crazy viral, and brought a lot of exposure to the song, which we had already tied Jake to through his own content. So this was a greater success than Upside Down was for us, because we had the Jake association with the song, and then we made the song go viral as well. If you want to play the arrow video.
That poor bird. Oh, I love it. So creative. I mean, it just takes a creative mind, right, to like come up with these things, and then like the mimicking and the taking other people's ideas and repurposing them. I think it's a lot of fun. It's so cool to see what's been created. So one of the things that I learned when I met you guys and met Jake is that he's never signed to a record label, which I thought was very interesting, because he was approached last year with like the highest the highest offer of the year, and he turned it down. So what advice do you guys have for independent artists who are considering signing a record deal? Like, what are the pros and cons of going with a label versus remaining independent?
Yeah, this is a conversation that I talk on a lot, a topic that I speak on a lot, and I think it's a very important one right now. So we're living in a different season in the music industry than we ever have, and everything is heavily democratized, and it's there's pros and cons, right? Like the time when you could just be an artist and think like an artist is over, right? Like I have lots of friends that they're actors, and the ones that don't have a career are the ones that are still sitting around like hoping to get casted. And like it doesn't work like that anymore. The ones that are doing it are like, remember Wes Good, Wesley? Yeah, he's a Full Sail grad.
Yep.
He went out there, he grabbed a camera and he shot his own content, and he starred in his own content, and then and he just made it happen. He was a marketer. He was a technician. He mastered the technical elements of his craft. He learned how to. He was a great acting talent. You know, he was a writer. He wrote his scripts. Like, he did everything. He just built the business. He built it and built it and built it until they started coming to him. You know, and that's how it works now. And that's, you know, artists have to be entrepreneurs. They have to be marketers. They have to be business savvy, and they have to be talented. So it's different. So first off, like, if you're not that type of person, this new season might not be for you. But if you are that type of person, it's a really exciting time, right? So getting back to music, traditionally, you know, before really I came around, you needed record labels for like two primary reasons. You know, one, you needed them to distribute your music. 'Cause back in the day, you know, music was sold as a physical product, and you had to ship it to stores across the country, and then literally ship it to, you know, stores across the world. And if you didn't have planes or boats or trucks, like, you couldn't do that. So you needed a label to do that. And then Spotify came along, and they took that out of the equation, right? So anyone could distribute their music around the world with the click of a mouse. So then the story for record labels was, well, you need us for marketing. You need us for marketing reach, expertise, and spend for budget. And then TikTok comes along. And now, like I mentioned earlier, like, I challenge you to find a song on Hot 100 that isn't there because of TikTok. And labels aren't doing that. You know, they might throw money at a trend that happens, you know, and get more influencers to do it, but they're not creating those sparks, those moments. So now it's like, okay, well, do we really need you for marketing? Because we don't. For Jake's project, we haven't spent a single marketing dollar in 9 months. So wow. Golden Hour, his biggest song, that entire moment, like, we did not run ads. We did not do anything other than create content. Mm-hmm. Content for Jake's pages, repurpose content we found online, build Jake fan pages, release different remixes in different languages with artists from different countries from all over the globe to spark in those territories, like pure content. And it hit top 10 of Billboard Hot 100, which is a big feat. There were only 10 songs in the world at the time that had done that, you know? So it's exciting. And when a label comes to you, as it did to us last year, and offers you what Billboard said, I don't know if it's true or not, but it was the biggest record deal of the year and potentially one of the biggest first record deals of all time. You know, you have to wonder, you know, why are they doing this? And if you really think about what I just said, you know, no one really knows how far an independent artist can take it these days. If they're good at content and good at making their own music, you know, like, we don't know where that new ceiling is. So, you know, Jake feels strongly about this. His brother Zach feels strongly about this. And, you know, to an extent, I feel strongly about this. I was, you know, willing to entertain either way, but really when it comes down, you know, signing or not signing, but really when it comes down to it, you know, I do believe that, you know, we've come this far, and not only to go this far, you know, and we sort of owe it to ourselves and to, you know, those who come after us to figure out where that new ceiling is. And, you know, I not to sound cocky or anything, but I do believe that we are the best positioned and most able out of anyone who's doing it right now in the world to figure out how far it can be taken. And so we're pretty committed to that. The benefits of that, you know, we get a bigger split of the money. We might not get it all up front like we would with a major record label deal, but, you know, instead of giving up 50% or more of profit, you know, we might be giving up 10%, you know, for basic distribution and label services. Plus, we still own the masters. So 10 years, if we want to sell Jake's catalog, I mean, we can. That's a whole nother big cash out at the end. I mean, catalogs are selling for massive sums of money. Like, you know, people are getting, you know, like 9-figure checks. So there's that. Plus, you know, we just have more control. You know, we do believe that no one knows what's best for Jake Project, or no one knows better for Jake Project than we do. So, you know, we maintain that control. It also makes like deals easier because right now Jake's self-published. He owns his own music. We're doing deals on a song-by-song basis. Like, if opportunities come our way, there's no other hand in the pot that can tell us, yes, we can, no, we can't do it, how we have to do it. You know, we're just in complete control. And again, like, you know, it's not for everybody. There's some artists and artist teams who don't, you know, have the skill set necessary to make that work. But, you know, we're lucky enough that we do, and you know, excited to see how far we can go.
It's amazing. You know, it's so interesting to see how the music industry has changed since the dawn of the internet. You know, it's like, I remember when I started working at Full Sail, it was the Napster days, and like everybody was freaking out because they were like, oh, everybody's like, all these artists are going to lose out on so many opportunities because they aren't going to be able to sell their music, and we're not going to be able to sell albums. And now artists that never would have the opportunity to be successful or be at the level that they're at are having amazing opportunities because we're in this market where you can do everything yourself if you want to. You don't have to rely on a label to find success, which is really incredible.
Yeah,
So,
I think this year is the first year that streaming revenue has risen higher than revenue ever did before when it was physical product, which is really exciting. You know, back in the day, yeah, you're paying more up front, but you know, once you bought that record, you could listen to it for the rest of your life and never buy it again. Now, you know, you're buying it every time you listen to it. So, yeah, it's interesting.
it's very
exciting.
interesting, very exciting. So it's been so cool to see what Jake has been up to. I mean, he's performed at Times Square for the New Year's Eve ball drop, which was really cool. He was at Universal Studios performing for Mardi Gras. Isiah, I was living vicariously through your posts. You know, you were on stage. You guys were hyping up the crowd before he came out, which was really cool. And it's just been so neat to see the opportunities that he's had. He even got to perform with Alicia Keys, met Alicia Keys, which I know is a friend of Ethan's. I want to show this video real quick because it's really great. I know this was on his TikTok page, and you can see Alicia kind of peeking in the background here.
Snuck into Alicia Keys' dressing room to play my song until this happened.
You see Swiss Beats in the mirror.
Oh, awesome. Oh, no big deal.
Later that night, this happened.
She's amazing. She is patience and grace and heart. I mean, it's just such an amazing human being and so immensely talented. And I mean, it was just such a bucket list item to meet her and to work with her and to be in her presence. Really a special night, and in a beautiful theater like that in the heart of New York City in Harlem. Like, I mean, it was a moment for sure.
How did that
opportunity.
How did that show happen, Ethan?
What do you mean?
Was it like her son? You were telling me a story about like her son.
Yeah. So her son Egypt knew of Jake on TikTok and saw his golden hour video where he's like playing for his teacher, his childhood piano teacher. And that's and he showed it to Alicia. He's like, "Mom, you gotta see this. You're gonna love this song." And you know, she thought it was really cool. And it wasn't until she saw him like play it live on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, where she was like, "Oh man, this kid's he's like a real talent." So she reached out and asked if we'd be willing to do her Apple Music Christmas special with her.
Wow.
Which was, I mean,
What an honor.
It was so special.
That's so great. You want to show that video real quick of the music teacher?
We were just two lovers, feet up on the dash, driving nowhere fast, running through the summer. Radio on blast, make the moment last. She got solar power, minutes feel like hours. She knew she was the baddest. Can you even imagine falling like I did for the love of my life? She's got glitter for skin, my radiant beam in the night. I don't need no light to see you shine.
That must be.
I don't even know what to say.
Oh, she must be one proud lady. I mean, come on, he's so talented. It's amazing.
Yes, that's an extended version. That's not actually the original version, but yeah. So this is the video the first video that went bananas with Golden Hour, which was like months after we released it, similar to Falling in Love, and it went crazy, and it did something that I had been pushing for us to do for a while, which was showcase Jake's musicality, which I thought was important to sort of elevate him from just being a TikTok person, and by him playing the piano, and it did it. Like it showed the song, it showed Jake, but then it presented him as a real artist, and then it had the whole emotional element, which emotion is what drives virality, from his teacher. So this worked, and this is a great example of something working and then just milking it. Because then this was like my childhood piano teacher, and then we did like my old piano student, which was like a little kid that Jake used to teach piano to, and then we did like my high school piano teacher and my college piano teacher, and then like I don't know, my virtual piano teacher, we had anything we could think of. Yeah, we just kept it going, right? And it worked, and it kept driving the song every time. Like all of these teacher videos did like 50 mil or something like that views, and then it's like across all 3 platforms. So that's like TikTok, IG Reels, and YouTube Shorts. Yeah. That's
amazing. That's amazing. So Isiah, I have a question for you, and we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. Just a couple more left. Isiah, what's so far, because you've entered the picture pretty recently here, but so far, what has been your favorite memory, your favorite experience that you've had with Jake?
Careful.
All right. So I'm going to answer this in 2 parts. So entering this scene, my favorite experience overall was probably when we were in New York City for New Year's Eve, and we watched the ball drop. It was me and Ethan in the middle of Times Square.
It was romantic.
Super romantic. And like, we were going to go to bed because it was like cold and rainy. And they were like, nah, let's watch the ball drop, right? And then we're sitting there, we're counting down. Then all this confetti, like this was a new venture for me, for Ethan, and it was like really day one of like work and transitioning from Full Sail to this new opportunity. And then like there was just so much confetti and stuff, and it was just surreal, and it was really dope. Favorite moment with Jake would have to be when I introduced my son to Jake, and now my son cannot stop listening to Jake. And it was backstage at he didn't know what was happening that day, so we went to Universal and we did all the rides, we had fun, but then the show happened, and he heard me listening to Jake for a couple months prior to that. And then like he was watching the show, and he's like, wait, my dad was listening to this, right? And then I brought them backstage, and then he got to see Jake, and he was like petrified. He didn't want to meet him, and he was like so nervous. And then like we went to the trailers, and then he was like standing outside of Jake's trailer, and I'm like, you want to go in? And he's like, no. And I'm like, I know you want to go in. And then like Jake just like made it home for him, and he was like, talking to him, and like, he just like now my son has like somebody who's very positive, like a positive musician who pushes a great message, who I believe is one of the best artists out, if not the best artist out. And like he has somebody who he can listen to, and I don't have to like, find censored versions of the music. It's just all positive music. It deals with, your emotional challenges that you might be going through. If you're happy, if you're sad, if you're going through relationship, and I can feel comfortable with him like watching his music video or playing his songs. And I think that's probably been the best like experience with Jake. Are you crying, Ethan?
He teared up a bit. No, I got to tell you, you guys got me cool mom points when I saw you and met Jake. Jake made a video for my son, a "Hey, what's up" video, and that was really special. And that just goes to show like how kind he is. He's just like a genuine person, and I'm so happy for the success that he's seen, because he certainly deserves it. So, Ethan, what do you feel is next for Jake? I mean, He's already accomplished a lot, but what's coming up on the horizon for him?
Well, we have a tour in August, a North American tour. That's exciting. And you know, we're I don't know if I can say that yet. Just really big things coming up involving really big movies.
Ooh, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think that's as much as I can say. And then we're really just, you know, hyper focused on you know, expanding, you know, the boundaries of what we've started, which is sort of rewriting the code for artist projects. That's language that it's not my language. The global head of artists for YouTube said. She said we're rewriting the code for the future of artists, which I thought was really cool. Obviously, to hear that from her, but it makes sense to me because artist projects are very different now, and it's all content driven. So it has this whole new element of demand on the artist, right? Like you don't have to just show up and sing or be in the studio and record. Like now you have to create content. So, you know, our biggest challenge right now, or our biggest mission, is to figure out how can we increase and scale the content output while decreasing the time demand on Jake. You know, which is, we're living in the most exciting time for that, right? With AI and deep fake and you know, ability to create, you know, mocap, you know, virtual characters and stuff. So like, we're like figuring out how can we create different types of content that don't require Jake to participate. So that's like really exciting to me, and we're learning about these tools, AI, deepfake, and all this stuff. So, I mean, we'll see where that goes, but I think that's probably the most exciting thing on the horizon as we try to revolutionize and scale, like really scale. I mean, everyone said scale, but I mean scale like this in the way it's used in like the tech world, like really create an artist project at scale that can pump out content. You know, like a major media company. So that's what the next year or two will hopefully hold for us.
That's very exciting. Very, very exciting to see what the future holds, right?
Yeah.
So speaking of the future, this is our last question of the day. I want you guys to do a little bit of self-reflection on, like, you know, what you've gone through over the years since you graduated from Full Sail, and the experiences that you've had. If you were to give any advice to some people who are looking to be successful in the entertainment industry, what advice would you give them? And Isiah, I'm going to pick on you first.
Yeah, I'd say authentic networking. I wouldn't be where I'm at without authentic networking. I think there's networking, and then I think there's like you being you. And I think a lot of positions that I've put myself in, I've just always been a good person. I've always followed up, but it was always authentic. There was nothing fake about it, right? Heather, you and I are good friends because of just being authentic, right? There was never a gain or anything like that. I think a lot of people try to gain stuff out of situations, but first you have to be a giver before you can gain anything, you know? And I think that's been a part of my trait is I've always been a giver. I've always been a helper. I go into situations figuring out how can I make this better? How can I make everybody's job easier? And I always follow up with people. I make sure that, you know, we're friends, right? So if you're trying to get your step in the entertainment industry or any industry, I think it's always good to network and, you know, shake hands and be you. Don't try to be somebody else, you know, be yourself. I think people gravitate more towards authenticity, and they see it, you know. You can see the difference between someone who's authentic and someone who's fake. I think that being passionate is also a major plus. People can see passion. They can see how hard you work on your given tasks and what you're doing on a daily. And yeah, following up. I think that's worked for me. It could work for you too.
That's really great advice. And I've seen you in action, Isiah, over the years. You are such a testament and it's such a good example of like all the things that a student should do while they're in a program. And it is about creating like authentic connection and going out of your way to not just complete your schoolwork, but also like, show up and be present and offer something. It's not all about taking, but it's about giving. And I think that's such a great approach. And I admire you a lot for having that outlook, and I'm really proud of you. So it's awesome. How about you, Ethan?
Am I allowed to give 3 things like Isiah did, even though you asked for one?
You can give as many. We can stay here as long as you want.
I get asked this question every time I speak here at Full Sail. Mm-hmm. And, I think my answer's been the same every time. And I think I'm going to stick with it. And I would say that my biggest piece of advice is to seek out mentorship. And Isiah did a good job of explaining, ways to sort of to nurture those relationships, by giving and being a resource rather than asking and taking. Yeah. Like, what can I bring to the table to help this person that can help me? But I mean, it's really the best way to get your foot in the door and expedite your progression, right? Because being in the presence of and operating with someone who's found success and has already sort of navigated all the pitfalls along the way, it helps you to avoid them and move faster, likely faster than your mentor did, and trying to navigate that on your own is just slowing things down. So I mean, it's been a major part of my strategy, and I think it's hyper important. Also, find ways to make money along the way. Whatever you got to do, because I have a lot of friends who I started on this journey with, and with whom I started on this journey. Which one is it?
I think with whom.
With whom? Yeah. I started on this journey, and a lot of them, sort of fell off along the way because they didn't find ways to support themselves. Mm-hmm. And when you're not feeding yourself along the way, then you're putting a time limit on everything, right? Because if you run out of reserves, then you have to quit and run home. So, I think it's important to find ways to support whatever it is. I mean, if it's a job at McDonald's for now, then it's a job at McDonald's for now. If it's, you want to be an engineer, but you got to go, rig up live events at Marriott for conventions, and then you got to get a job at Marriott. For me, it was, running the studio, Plush Studios here in Orlando. Give us a call.
Represent.
Yeah. 407-695-4484. And I did a number of things. I started that publishing company I talked about, and that's made some solid revenue. My first sign went platinum, so I was just lucky for that. But something I did, I hated, and it's brought in some revenue over time. But it's so important to be able to keep yourself afloat, because these things can take time. Like, we are in an industry that it's very difficult to get into, and there is a certain element of luck, and so you have to make sure that you're there and you're prepared every opportunity, because you never know which one is going to provide the opportunity to get lucky, and that takes time. I always lived. This isn't always true, but I operated by the belief that the first person to win in this industry is the last person to quit, because once everybody else is gone, then you're just competing against yourself, So I always had that thought process, and it allowed me to stick around long enough to figure it out. So, and if you can't eat or pay the bills while you're trying to figure it out, then you're short.
Yep. Yeah, that is really great advice. So on that note, I want to thank you, Ethan and Isiah, for being here today. Thank you for staying connected to Full Sail and staying connected to me. I mean, I really value everything that you've shared with our audience today. So thanks again for joining us, and hopefully you guys will be around for our next Taking Flight. Have a great day.